Hello, and welcome to my Shiraz tasting. Uh, for my name, I'm a sommelier and wine writer, wine judge, and I've been writing a column for the New Brunswick provincial paper for around 20 years now. So this is the kind of thing I do all the time as preparation for my column, which runs on Fridays. It's called Good Drink. So when I'm evaluating wines, I do try to always do blind comparisons rather than just one-off tasting a wine that I get given as a sample or I buy myself. Because when you taste in a vacuum, when you have no idea what the wine is, you give a more fair evaluation. Now, of course, after I do initial tasting, I would go back and taste the wine again with more context, maybe with food in a bigger glass, something like that. So it's not just that one quick evaluation that I'm going to show you that I do here. I will go back and taste and try to find more stuff. But pretty much what I do is I use a piece of paper to take quick notes. Sometimes I use my iPhone notes business app to do it, but quite often it's just pen and paper, the old-fashioned way. So I have 4 Shiraz wines today, and they've been pre-poured for me by one of my special assistants that I have here at Rancho Relaxo, or Sunny Beach, I guess we call it now. You can't see in the background, but there is a beach back there somewhere. So I have 4 Shiraz or Shiraz-based wines. I don't know which in these glasses are which of these bottles. I'll look later and find out after I've taken my notes. But we've got the Nugan Estates Second Pass Shiraz, which is an awesome Shiraz that uses kind of a passamento, like the Italian technique. You get more flavor out of the grapes from the skins. We've got the Pavilion, which is a South African mainly Shiraz wine. It also has Cab Sauv in it, not unusual. For the budget wine, we've got the McGuigan Black Label Shiraz, which is right now under $10 at, I think it's on sale. But a wine from Colombo, which is a winery I've really liked over the years from Australia. This is their Shiraz Viognier. It's got a touch of Viognier in it, and we'll talk about that after we reveal the wines, why they would do that, and what it should bring to the wine, whether it does do much. So basically what I do is I look at them. I've got them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, tasting from left to right. I do a quick color assessment, but to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time on that. Unless a wine is ridiculously hazy or brown from oxidation, I don't worry about it. It's not as important as other things. But looking at these 4 wines, they're all purple. The last one, number 4 here, is slightly, I don't know if you can see it in that light, but I can. It's not as purple, not as dark. It's a little more reddish, more garnet kind of color, which sometimes can be a clue about something, that maybe a wine might be a little lower extraction, like a not as intense flavored or aroma wine, possibly lighter, but not necessarily. When the wine is really blackish purple, like certainly this first one is, it probably tells you that they've gotten a lot out of the grapes, so it can indicate something. Nose is very important, of course. So what I would do is I'd do each one and do a quick nose and take little short notes. If I was scoring wines for a competition, I would also give a preliminary score based on nose alone, and then adjust after tasting, or not adjust, up or down, or the same. So quick nose on number 1. I'm using ISO glasses, by the way. These are your standard kind of tasting glasses. They're smaller than what I would normally use to drink wine out of, particularly red wine. I normally like those really big ones that can almost hold at least a half bottle. Not that I pour that much, but I like the big glass to get the nose. But for evaluation purposes, you have to have all the same glass. And I don't know about you guys, but with me and our rotating glassware selection, in fact, I broke one today in the sink. Um, you have a bit of a menagerie in there in your cabinet. So four beautiful large glasses that are exactly the same, I don't think exists right now in my cupboard. So I use the ISOs a lot of times for this sort of thing. So when I'm smelling number one, and I'm definitely getting some fruit. You know, I would note sort of like a dark fruit, kind of a pulley fruit, which, you know, I'll go back later and fill these out when I retaste, usually in a bigger glass, but um, kind of like your blackberry type, which is quite common for Shiraz. In Shiraz, you're looking for dark fruit, a spicy note a lot of times, some tannins, but not ridiculous tannins, particularly for New World like we're doing today. So more of a juicy kind of than the French style. And but sometimes there's other things like smoky, funky. There's a lot of stuff can happen with Shiraz, particularly in the old world, but here in the new world, or today. So yeah, a lot of crazy stuff on the nose, pretty straightforward. The second one, again, which I'm expecting all these to be decent wines and fruity. So it's, I would say it's more on the lighter colored fruit, like more like red berry fruit. Whereas the first one was more, yeah, more blackberry, purpley kind of purple or black. Just on a quick note, I would say the second one seems a bit simpler, and yeah, probably lighter, but we'll see. The third one, which has really good color, by the way, the third one has a different nose. It's more developed and perfumey. When I say developed, I mean it has a slight bit of age by the nose. Sometimes that can be premature oxidation, could be. Like sometimes wines taste older than they are because of the way they've traveled or been handled or stored incorrectly, too warm or whatever. So I'm getting a bit of a developed nose, a bit of a savory nose that I would say get that sometimes varietal. So my guess from just smelling that would be that it could be a wine that has a little bit more age. Now this is the Nugan is 2016, Pavilion is 2018, the McGuigan is 2018, and the Yalumba is 2018. So we've got one wine that's a bit older. So I might, if I was doing grape guessing for a game with other wine lovers, that might be a hint. But I'm not great today. I'm evaluating to write a column. I'm really looking for, description and what does the wine taste like and what would it be good for. So I kind of like that sort of developed nose. It has that feeling to me that it's probably kind of going to be a smooth tasting wine. But sometimes the nose and palate don't agree. The fourth one is much lighter now that I look at it even more close. It's quite light red. And it has, similar to number two, that kind of a bright berry fruit nose, not the dark, not spicy, not brooding or oaky or like peppery that you get sometimes with Shiraz. So, just from a quick nosing, I've got an idea of these ones, and then I taste them. And if I was doing a competition and doing a whole whack of wines, like when we do 100 or more a day, I'm spitting. But I'm staying home tonight, not driving, just like most of us, and so I wouldn't be spitting. So the first one, I'll give it another quick smell again, just to remind myself, which wine is this? I think it's showing even more complexity. It's interesting. It's got a bit of an herbal note there to go along with the fruit. And when I smell that almost a little bit of a peppery note. I'm expecting something that's got good structure and tannins, and it does. It's a fairly weighty wine, good body, and it has some tannins, and I get a peppery thing that I look for in Shiraz. You can feel a bit of alcohol in it, which is not unusual. I didn't check out the alcohols on these, but it's not a bad thing necessarily to feel a little bit of a warming feeling in your throat, particularly on if it's a cold day and you're looking for some warmth. So I'm liking this wine. I think it's good quality. It's something that I think can handle. It's like I'm actually got some short ribs braising over there in Italian style with a recipe I got from Chef Jason Lynch from the restaurant at Domaine de Grand Pré in Nova Scotia, which, if you've never been to it, you should go to. It's really good. So I've got, I think that wine would do well with something like that. But I think it would also do well with stews and peppery stuff, spicy stuff. Super hot, but herb spice. Very good. Right now, that from what I've tasted so far, I'm thinking it's got a good chance that's going to be my favorite. The second one was the first of the two that was kind of more of the berry fruit. Now, and like I said, sometimes the taste and the nose don't align. When I taste that, it's very full-bodied and smooth and appealing and seductive. It's a very appealing wine. Sometimes when we're judging, we call wines like that crowd pleasers, which means don't take that as a negative. It means it's a wine that I think most people who like red wine dislike. It's not really tannic. It's not weird. It's not funky. It's smooth. It's well made. It's goes nice across the palate, but it's not sweet. It's dry. No serious wine lover likes sweet red wine other than for dessert. Anyway, it's good. A little different from the first one. It's complex or structured, but smoother to drink right now. Playing a little song for you there. So that's so far those two both really good. I think that first one is more for meat stews. Second one is more of a drink when you like just to drink red wine on its own, or maybe with something like a beef tenderloin with a rich sort of creamy sauce kind of thing. Something easy, whereas this can maybe handle lamb or heavier spiced meats. The third wine, which was the one that I thought might have some age on it, now I smell it again, and I'm getting wood, oak, and a bit of it's what I call it reminds me of Rioja. It's that kind of coconutty oak with tobacco-y, savory kind of aspects. And it's tastes very familiar to me. It tastes like it's round, smooth, a really nice kind of blackberry flavor. It's super smooth, high alcohol. I can feel it. Right, I can still feel it. It's a long wine, still going, and still going. I think I'll taste that wine until I taste the next wine. So, but I can really feel the warmth. It's very familiar to me. I think I've had this wine recently. It's really tasting to me like the Nugan, because I know when we were in Moncton for the Moncton Wine Show Awards, I went out for supper with some of the other judges, the product advisors, and other wine professionals, and we went to a restaurant and had a bottle of that. And this just, how when you've had a wine recently and then you taste it again blind, you're like, oh, I think I just had that wine last week. It reminds me of that wine, but you know what? I've been completely wrong many times. Could be wrong this time too. But it reminds me of that. very smooth. It has tannins though. It's not a simple wine. Like it's not a crowd pleaser. It has some texture and intensity to it. Um, it doesn't particularly taste like Shiraz to me. It tastes more like something different. Again, that kind of points to this concept of the using the passamento, where passamento is a technique they use in Amarone. Amarone is a really high alcohol um, wine that's made from dried grapes, and you get a lot of alcohol, and you get a bit of bitterness and some complexity from making wine that way. But then they take the skins from after the Amarone's been pressed off, they'll take another wine like a basic Valpolicella, and then they'll pass it over or the skins. So they basically add the Amarone skins into the lighter wine to beef it up a bit. It's kind of like a Valpolicella when you do Ripasso. So that it really points to that being that wine. But when we reveal, we'll see if I'm an idiot. The technique is used in lots of places nowadays, like Ontario. Some wineries do it to good success. Nova Scotia, I know Luckety Vineyards has done it. I think Luckett has done it. It's a technique and that works. And in New Brunswick, I know Gilles de Bellal have done it in the past. It can make a lighter wine bigger and fuller and seem like it comes from a warmer plant or a better vintage than it did. It's an interesting technique. However, it will take, in my opinion, away from its terroir, meaning it doesn't taste like where it came from anymore. It tastes like something a winemaker created. So the fourth wine, which is very light and berry fruit, kind of simple. And when I say simple, I don't mean bad. I mean approachable, like it's really basic, one-dimensional, but it's not bad quality or defective or anything. And that one is a really juicy little easy wine, low complexity, but it's clean, it's well made. You know, it's kind of by the glass, sort of light for food. I wouldn't try to do anything too serious with it, like, you know, burgers and maybe you know, basic meat dishes, but it's quite simple. Like I said before, clean and it's dry. It may have a touch of sugar, but it's not sweet to gross me out. So basically what I do then, after I've done this evaluation and I kind of rank them, like for my column, and I've had some other Shirazes recently. I always pick 5 wines every week. I'm doing 4 tonight, but I will have some other ones in my pocket for previous tastings that I'll slide in there if necessary. But there's no wine here that I wouldn't recommend. You know, it's just what's good for the price, the situation you're in. But if I were to rank them in terms of what I thought the best quality was, I think that probably number 1 was my favorite overall. Like I give little check marks. I thought 2 and 3 were about the same in terms of how well I liked them. So, you know, if I was scoring, if you're used to Wine Magazine scores, you know, the one I like the best probably gets like a 90 or 89, and the ones I liked but were a little bit less, they might get 88 or 87. And then the simpler one on the end, it's still a good wine. It'd probably get an 87 or 86. That's kind of how I go about it. So then you know, when I rank them, I'm not ranking based on price yet because I don't know which wine is which. I'm just saying that this first wine is the one that does it for me the most. Part of that is personal taste. Like I like Old World, Northern Rhone Syrah, or Southern French Syrah-based wines that are like that, kind of dry, structured, full textured. But I do also like this round, almost grapey, purple tasting, smooth, dry wine. And I like this complex, interesting one here that is very different. And I like light, simple wines if they're inexpensive. But then cheat sheet that my daughter gave me because she poured my wine for me. And my glass number one is actually the Pavilion, which is the Shiraz Cabernet from South Africa, which is interesting because it didn't have any of that South African smokiness you get a lot of times in the inexpensive ones. Now, I'll be writing about these wines in my column for the Telegraph Journal this Friday. Oh, I might write about all these, or I might just write about some of these and then throw in some others. But the last two, which I pretty much guessed because of that smooth, round style, is the Yalumba, what do they call it? The Y Series Shiraz Viognier. It's just a super well-made, seductive, crowd-pleasing Australian wine. The third one, as I was from tasting it, the Passamento from Nugan, and the fourth one was the $9.99 big, decent little wine. Actually, when I was in Australia the last time I was there, or maybe the time before that, but their Semillon, which is their white sort of flagship wine, is amazing for the price, and you can age it 20, 30 years. But their Shiraz is a good little wine for, I mean, at $9.99, a lot of people are happy to drink a wine like that. But price-wise, the other guys are, I mean, some of these things are on sale. There's always little promotions going on at AMBL, but these other three are in more in the 18 to 20, 21 range. So it's sort of similar. So that's the process that I go through. It's somewhat analytical, but personal, and it's fun to do with others. Like I love doing group tastings with other people who are seriously into wine. But I do a lot of it by myself because I'm writing a column on a regular basis, so I got to do it. And I go through a lot of wine over a year. I think I estimate I taste over 3,000 wines a year, counting traveling competitions and home tasting. So I do taste. What I do find is that it's super helpful to taste with others who know their wine. It helps your vocabulary. It grounds you. It stops you from going off on tangents, and you learn. You learn every time you taste with others. So it's important. So I urge you to taste with others, or to taste with a guide like me or my other friends who do this for a living. So once this pandemic, plague, whatever you want to call it, is over, I urge you to reach out to me. And I work home tastings. You buy the wine. I suggest the wine, you buy them, and then I do guided tastings. And I do events at our local amazing restaurants and bars and pubs that we have in New Brunswick. Like Shadowlani, and I do a lot there. I do Happiness Wine Bar. I'll do them with anyone if they're interested. But the whole point is that people like me, it's our living, and sometimes you get what you pay for. So if you want a structured tasting, then I think I can do a good job for you. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll probably do it again as long as this thing is going on, since I can't work people's houses or at restaurants. So I'm going to sign off, and I want to say cheers. I'm going to pick up the South African wine. Cheers, because I think it's really good. Pashandal is the winery, by the way. So cheers, and we'll get through this. With the help of wine, we'll get through it.